Batman. He's awesome. He has massive storyline, but part of a storyline I want to talk to you about today is when he creates an artificial intelligence surveillance system called Brother Eye. Now he uses this surveillance system to keep an eye on the Justice League in case they go rogue. So Brother Eye acts like Big Brother. Our next keynote, he's CEO of a company in Samoa called Sky Eye Pacific. It's a homegrown ICT GIS company that does things like vehicle tracking, UAV drone remote sensing, information communication tech, etc. So I have the wonderful honor of introducing Samoa's own Bruce Wayne. Whatalofa I le paia o lenei tai au te walau atu i le tātou mālo whaaloalongia, le awhionga ia whaasotau loa Saili, awhio mai o lau teimi lenei.
Thank you, Richie. I was hoping that he does get to introduce me after I've seen him introduce so many of our speakers, so I was hoping that he does. So thank you, Richie, for that. Katangi ke titi, katangi te kākā, katangi hoki ahoe. Tihei Māori ora. Ki ana mana whanua, tēnei motu, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Ko whaasotau loa Sam Saili toku ingoa, no ha moa toku turanga waiwai. Tinei te mihi aroha ki a koutou katoa. The TT bird is calling, the kaka bird is calling, I am calling that there is life. To the native people of this land, greetings, my name is Whaasotauloa Sam Saili. Samoa is my place to stand. This is my greeting of love to you all. Whaatalofa atu le paia whaatawhanota. O tau sa mawhainga o lea o le paia. O no tau mamalu e le na amata mai lava le vavau e o i le whaavavau. E leila se whamatalanga le nei au auna whatau waa. E mwhai o na whaupopo pe to e se mali sopa ia mto malu. Ai ona lo o whilungia le tātou whatasinga le nei tai au o le a wha a watu le whamatalanga i le ngangana whapertania. And that concludes my presentation. Sorry, the formalities of my presentation. And now it is on to the fun part. To those that I've had the pleasure to meet throughout the last 2 days, I've introduced myself as Sam Saili. It was much easier, but today, because this is a very privileged occasion, a milestone, as you can say, in our history, in our company's history, and my family's history, I have a responsibility to use my Matai title, which is Whaasotauloa. And this title, or roughly translate to a chief title, when it's bestowed on anyone, is because they've served the family and the village. So when I use that Matai title, it is representing my family, my village, and Samoa as well. And if you, in Samoa, once you say your Matai title, everyone knows your lineage, where your village is as well. But today I'm here to speak to you about the work that Sky Eye Pacific does. Sky Eye Pacific is a technology startup company from Samoa. Those two words that I just said is rarely mentioned. Technology startup company from Samoa. So I'll just explain a little bit of our story and how we qualify to say that we are a technology startup company. Sky Eye is a Samoa family funded and owned, operated company. We've been in operations for almost 6 years now. We're a registered company in Samoa in 2015, in Solomon Islands 2016, Vanuatu 2017, and just last year we registered and operated in Tonga. So we are a Pacific entity. We have audit financial accounts. Now this is not a legal requirement, but it is in our view to do best practice, especially when it comes to financials. And I have my wife here with me, who is the CFO for SkyEye. And also for regional projects that we do, it is always required that they have audit financial accounts. 2017, we won the Asia Pacific Frontier Innovators Award. And this was a milestone because when you take the Asia region, and we were competing against over 700 other companies, and we won this award. And Asia is like the hub of technology. So a small company from Samoa to win this award was quite a milestone. We were invited and we presented at the World Drone Congress in 2018. The reason why is because we have the largest drone fleet in the Pacific of a private company. In 2018, there was a step up where we won the GSMA Ecosystem Accelerator Award. And when I say a step up, because this includes the Africa region. So it's the Asia Pacific and Africa region that we won this award. We were invited to the Barcelona Mobile World Congress. We were invited and we also presented at this congress. For those that are in technology, this is the biggest technology meeting of mobile operators every year. And we were able to present at that congress. In that program as well in Barcelona, there was a 4 years from now name of the program, and they identified SkyEye as one of the 85 startups that is going to be shaping the future of technology globally for the next 4 years. We've also been invited to participate in the Global Entrepreneurship Summit that was held in The Hague. And just last month, we were awarded funding for starting a fintech technology. And as I put there, that percent of 86 ratio, that's our gender ratio in terms of female to male. So majority of our people in our company is female. 2 notes there. Female participation in the tech industry is globally is about 28%. So it is quite a flip for Samoa to have that. And we did, I guess, okay. In Barcelona this year, they've invited us to come again next year. And it will be the 2020 Congress, so it's shaping up to be one of the biggest. Okay, so, but how did this happen? How did we start SkyEye? Why did we do it? My brother and I, my brother Nome, who is the brains of the operations actually, and we founded SkyEye after 10 years of being involved heavily in the ICT industry. What we've been trying for over 10 years is to bring major platforms from overseas, IT platforms, that work so well overseas to try and solve problems at home. And for one reason or another, it never actually works as it's advertised to do. And we've come to realize it was created for a different infrastructure. All these major platforms were created in the developed world that has very well-developed infrastructure. So it never really worked in the Pacific. So what we did is we created our own platforms. We stopped looking for platforms from overseas that can work in Samoa, but we created our own. We saw that there was a gap, and when a gap, it equates to a need, and it equates to an opportunity. And that's how we started off. Oh, and the photos that you see here is taken by myself, and it's nice because we have a lot of drones, so we can go around and take these photos. One of the major infrastructure issues in the Pacific, and especially in Samoa, is there are no street addresses. Now, if you visit Samoa, any of the Pacific Islands, and if you want to find a particular place, you will be told that go down the main road. Once you get to the fourth church, take a right. Now, I'm not kidding when I say fourth church, because there is a lot of churches in Samoa. So once you get to the fourth church, take a right. Then you get to the mango that looks like a cow, take a left. And then you get to the pink house, because Samoa has a lot of pink houses. And then you ask for a man named Sione, and he has a funny eye. And then he'll tell you the rest of the way for you to get to where you want. So this is the normal way of how we find places in Samoa and in most of the Pacific Islands. And it is an adventure, but the opportunity cost in terms of economics is quite high, because people can't find you, then you're missing out on opportunities to have economic transactions. So and you may ask, what about Google? And certainly Google is an amazing platform. And this is a screenshot of the Apia CBD, or Apia town. And this is the heart of our business district. And as you can see, there's already on Google roughly around 50 what we call points of interest or locations. But that is actually quite sparse in terms of location. So what we did is we built our own online mapping server, and we gathered all the points of interest that Samoans are wanting to know or is interested in. So we overlaid our own data on top of Google, and this is what it looks like in the CBD. So Google had about 50, and we have over 200 of points of interest in the Apia area. But this is inside the capital. If you go outside in the rural areas, so this is the south coast of Samoa, or Upolu, and you can only see two areas of interest. I'm sure, or I hope most of you have heard of Tosua Trench. It's a world-famous swimming spot. And then there's the Vavau Beach Forest. There's only two. Compared to what Sky Eye has, we have over 30 of that particular area. So in terms of comparison, it's not often that people can claim it, but today I'm going to claim it. And in this particular context, Sky Eye is better than Google. Also, over here you see organic virgin coconut oil. It is, some people call it as liquid gold at the moment. There is so much demand for it, for the health industry as well as the cosmetic industry. And one of our partners, or our Women in Business Development Incorporated, they have been in operation for over 30 years, and they're a social enterprise. They work with farmers to try and get them markets, develop products for them so that they can earn a living. And it's all to do with grassroots only. So Women in Business secured a contract with Body Shop, and now Women in Business is the sole supplier of virgin organic coconut oil for the Body Shop of the whole world. And they have a huge task in front of them, because to be able to supply that kind of quantity is a major operation. So first, they needed to know how many coconuts that their farmers have, because women in business don't actually own any farms. They work with rural farms to get the supply of coconuts. One of the issue was, they don't know how many coconuts that they have, and they need to make sure that they're all organic. So Women in Business did the organic certification with a company from Australia, and they did all the training as well as the tools to all the farmers. And then the issue was how many coconuts do they have in terms of stock so that they can estimate the supply to make sure that they have enough supply. And they first had to do this manually, actually go out and count each coconut. It wasn't very feasible, and it wasn't very accurate. So we worked with them, and we used our drone to map all the 700 farms that they work with, that they've registered. So this is what a snapshot of what it looks like. So farm EL01 has 794 coconuts, and farm EL02 has 187 coconuts. Each of these coconuts are GPS coded. So if you have a coconut and you want to find where it came from, you can do that. The other problem that they had is I mentioned location. There are no street addresses. And these farms, 700 of them are all in the rural areas. So they're not even close to streets. They are on beaten paths. So there is no way to know where they are unless someone tells you that someone tells you, and so things like that. And over time, they start losing these farms because people forget where they are, and the written instructions is not good enough. So what we did is we mapped every single farm. We geocoded every single farm, and that's how it looks like. All those red spots are farms that they have registered, and because we track their vehicles, we are able to navigate them directly to the farm where they need to go. So they have not lost any farm since we partner up on this. Another interesting project that we've done, and you may recognize this is the Tulsua Trench. It is a very popular tourist spot, but one of the major feedback issue is the tourists are not very happy with this ladder to go down. This is about 20 meters, and it's very steep. So that's the feedback. And so the governments have been able to secure funding from New Zealand to try and build a staircase ladder that you can walk down on it to get to the swimming hole. And to do that kind of infrastructure is quite difficult because this is pretty much a sinkhole. So the usual way of surveying is not very useful here. So what we did is we used our drones, we surveyed the whole area, scanned the whole area, including underneath, and we built a 3D model of the Tulsua Trench. And we were able to upload this information onto the cloud where a New Zealand company is able to design the stairway. And they're collaborating with a civil engineering company in Samoa. So they're collaborating online, and it's like they're in the same room because they're working on the same data. In 2017, Samoa was hit by Cyclone Kita, and it wasn't a very strong cyclone. It was only a Category 1, but the devastation that happened was very unusual because of flooding. Kita happened in February, and in March, the town area, the Apia town area, there was no drop of rain, but it flooded. It flooded because it was raining up at the hill, and we had no warning. It all just started flooding. Even our office flooded. So this was very unusual. And so we were hired by the UN and the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment to scan and map the water catchment area for Apia and why this happened. So this is just a sample of it. This is one of the major areas of water catchment for the Apia. And this is the map of 2015. That's the map of 2018. Now, I'll just go back. As you can see, the forest was stripped bare. So now you can understand why, when it rains up the hill, Apia gets flooded. These are some of the other images of the catchment area. So we were able to digitize all of this, identify areas that needed immediate work or rehabilitation work. And yeah, so that is an ongoing struggle we have in the islands, especially with climate change. Speaking of climate change, this is a project that we did for free, and about 70% of Samoa's population live in the coastal area because the sea is where we get our food, most of our food. So it is very important for us. But with climate change, this is now becoming a threat. So what we were able to do is use open source software and model what will happen if a 1 meter rise in the sea level. And this is what it's going to look like. This is what we face in Samoa and in the islands. It's very difficult to present this to our villages, but it is a reality we have to prepare for. So the village knows which areas they will need to either adapt or relocate from. So it's very difficult, but it is technology and information that we have and able to get that we need to prepare ourselves for. And now we get to, now we actually get to the main part of the presentation, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background of what we do and what technology that we have that have enabled us to partner with the Center of Samoan Studies, especially the archaeology team. And we've been working with them for over just almost 3 years now. The archaeology team in the National University of Samoa has been going out and doing a lot of survey and archaeology work in a lot of historical sites. And we joined them because of the interesting work that they were doing. They were going in and trying to restore or just make accessible the sites and record these sites that have historical value for Samoa. This is a walled walkway, and the period we're not too sure, but it is at least 1,000 years old. This is the view from overhead, and one of the star mounts that they discovered, and they were working on documenting it, how big it is and all that. And so that's the reason why they were doing that is because they are starting to question a lot of history and a lot of things that are written about Samoa. So we're just going to take a little bit of a step back. Scientific evidence says that Samoa was settled at least 2,900 years ago. First European contact was 1720. First missionary landing was 1830. And it's very important that we put that on the record as well as in this presentation, because with the missionary coming to Samoa, and you heard the presentation yesterday from Dean of the importance of their literacy that they bring, but they also brought a lot of documentation. And the first documentation of estimated population for Samoa in 1850 was under 50,000. And the documentation there also stated that most of the population are settled along the coastline. And even Samoans believe that we've always done that. We always live near the coast. But the archaeology team in the National University had questions about that because there are evidence that question this. And so that's where we started working with them in their work in trying to rediscover our history. Now we're looking specifically at this area in Savai'i, especially the ancient Pulemelei mound. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it, but it is quite famous because it is the biggest ancient man-made structure in Polynesia. And it is about 60 meters by 65 meters, and the height of 12 meters. And up to now, no one really knows what was it created for. But it was interesting because there was archaeology work done around it of why it was created. And what they discovered while they're doing that survey is that there was a network of a lot of infrastructure around the Pulimili'i. And this was discovered in 1976. And what they found is not just the Pulimili'i platform, but there was over 1,000 platforms in that area. Earth ovens was 41 ovens, and walkways. And walkways takes a lot of work because this was all done by stone and done by hand. It was over 3 kilometers of walkway that was constructed. And it questioned, because this is quite far in from the coast, it questioned, why was that? Why is it that we say in Samoa that the majority, or we've always lived on the coast, but the historical information found here states otherwise? And then that was in 1976, and then it was left there. But the National University thought to go and gather more information about this. So what they did is they did samples of around the area as well. And they physically went there and did survey work. So one of the blocks, the platforms that they found, 56, walls, 36, walkways, 5, star mounds, 2. So this is only a very small area, a sample area that they took. And then, there's evidence that is quite a lot of structures there. And then the next sample that they did, same finding. Next one, same finding. There's just so much evidence of settlement inside the internal part of Samoa, not the coast. And so that was in Savaii. Now they thought, okay, let's look into Upolu. And this is the area that they were looking at, which is the eastern side of Upolu. They did a sample survey. They found almost the exact kind of settlement type of structures. And one of the interesting things that they found was drainage channels. And this was to drain the water from the land. And I did question why people would go and build walkways, because it's a lot of work, a lot of stones, a lot of manual work to be done. But when I was participating in some of the surveys, after walking in this area for about 500 meters, I got tired very quickly because the grass was like sponge. So every time we find a walkway, everyone will try and go there and walk on that because it's so much easier than walking on the grass. So I immediately thought, oh yeah, they were genius. They should have done this everywhere. And so every time there's a walkway, we all run to it and try and use that to get to where we want it to go. And using LIDAR, which is a laser sensing equipment from the air, we were able to identify probable, but we are pretty sure they are there in terms of channels that were drainage channels. And we measured this. It is over 150 kilometers of drainage channel in this area alone. And this is over 5,000 acres. And this is all inside the internal part of the island. So we question very much the history that says that we always settled in the coastal area, and the population as well. This requires intense manual work. So this is a extract of the paper that the NUS put out, and it's online, but I'll put it into a little bit more summary form. So from their sample survey, they found household platforms of 650. they've estimated, which is my personal opinion is very low, 10% of those households were occupied. That's their estimate. Household occupancy, each household would have maybe 5 people, and the estimated occupied area was 2,000 hectares. So using that information, they were able to estimate the population of Palauli pre-17,000 at 6,000 people. The census for 2011 for Palauli was only 2,478 people. So from that conservative estimate, we can say there were a lot more people in this area than it is currently now. And the 2011 census for Samoa had 187,665 people. Now, if you take the ratio of pre-population in that calculation, we would maybe looking at almost 400,000 people in Samoa pre-1700. So we are really questioning everything that, well, not everything, but certain things that are in our history books. So we are literally rewriting our own history. And we understand, and in Sky Eye, we understand that Pacific problems require Pacific solutions, and we believe in that. That's what we've been doing. We've been creating solutions because you can't find the solution from overseas. We have to do it ourselves. And this has now become a tourist attraction. They've set up a trust for the village because they want to make sure these sites are maintained for future generations. So this is a picture of the Pulimelei ancient mound just last week, and the forest has taken over, reclaimed that area. But just working with the National University of Samoa, looking at all the data and information, I just wish there was a time machine that we can go back and have a look what happened. What happened to all of this infrastructure? Why did we move away? Or what happened to the population? And this brings me to the LIANZA conference. When I first got the invitation to speak, I actually replied back to Haley and Eleanor and said, do you have the right person? Because I'm a geek, I'm a tech geek. I'm not sure what contribution I can have to the LIANZA conference. But then it dawned on me as I was doing more and more research is that LIANZA represents knowledge and keeping of that knowledge. And if we were able to keep our ancient records somehow, our ancient knowledge, I wouldn't be asking, I wish I have a time machine and go back. And that's why it is now, my view is critical that the work that LIANZA does, and I hope it spreads everywhere because we need to keep the information, correct information, and make that accessible to generations and generations to come so that we don't have this problem ever again. So on that note, I'd like to thank the organizing committee. Thank you very much for including a very small company from Samoa, and I hope we have contributed to the conference today and this week. Untitled Chapter.